Imagine being only 11 years old and making a promise that would one day shake the British Empire. This is not the story of a soldier or a king. This is the true story of a young man who smiled. As he walked toward the gallows, his name was Bhagat Singh. Born on September 28, 1907, in Banga, Punjab. He grew up in a family where freedom wasn't just a dream. It was a duty. Even before he was born, his father and uncles had already been imprisoned by the British. But nothing shaped his destiny more than one horrific day in 1919. Thousands of unarmed Indians had gathered peacefully inside Jallianwala Bagh. Without warning, British troops opened fire. Hundreds were killed. The next day, the young Bhagat Singh visited the site. The ground was stained with blood. He filled a small bottle with the blood-soaked soil, held it tightly in his hands, and silently vowed that he would dedicate his life to India's freedom. That promise would soon change history. From that day forward, Bhagat Singh was no longer an ordinary child. He had only one dream: to see India free. While other boys imagined successful careers, he imagined breaking the chains of British rule. One day, his father jokingly asked him, "What are you sowing in the field?" Without even looking up, Bhagat smiled and replied, "Guns, so that India can harvest freedom." It wasn't just a clever answer, it was the dream he carried in his heart. As he grew older, he spent every spare moment reading history, politics, philosophy, the lives of great revolutionaries. He believed knowledge was just as powerful as any weapon. But then, his family decided it was time for him to get married. For most young men, it would have been the beginning of a new life. For Bhagat Singh, it was a choice between family and freedom, without telling anyone. He quietly left home. Before leaving, he wrote a letter to his father. "My life has already been dedicated to the freedom of India. There is no place in it for worldly comforts." His family was heartbroken. They knew the son they loved had chosen a path from which there might be no return. By 1928, Bhagat Singh was no longer just a young patriot. He had become one of the most determined revolutionaries in India. Then tragedy struck once again. Lala Lajpat Rai, one of India's most respected leaders, led a peaceful protest against British rule. The police responded with brutal force. He was beaten so severely that weeks later, he died from his injuries. Bhagat Singh was devastated. He believed this was not just an attack on one man, but on the entire nation. Together with his comrades, Shivaram Rajguru and Sukhdev Thapar, he decided those responsible had to face justice. Their target was the British officer believed to be behind the assault. But during the operation, a case of mistaken identity changed everything. Assistant Superintendent John Saunders was shot instead. The entire British administration launched a massive manhunt. To escape, Bhagat Singh made an unimaginable sacrifice. As a devoted Sikh, he cut his long hair and shaved his beard, a decision that broke centuries of tradition, but gave him a chance to continue the fight. India's most wanted revolutionary had disappeared, or so the British believed. Even while the British searched for him, Bhagat Singh refused to hide. In 1929, he and Bhatukeshwar Dutt entered the Central Legislative Assembly in Delhi. They threw bombs designed to make noise, not to kill. Smoke filled the chamber. People ran in panic, but Bhagat Singh stood his ground. He shouted, "Inquilab Zindabad!" "Long live the revolution!" Leaflets scattered through the hall, explaining their fight was against oppression, not innocent lives. Then, instead of escaping, they surrendered peacefully. Bhagat Singh knew his trial would carry his message to the entire nation. The British believed prison would silence Bhagat Singh. Instead, he turned it into another battlefield. Indian prisoners were treated far worse than British inmates. To demand equal rights, he began a hunger strike. Days became weeks. The country watched in shock. Then his fellow revolutionary, Jatin Das, died after 63 days without food. India mourned. Bhagat Singh's body grew weaker, but his courage only grew stronger. The British could imprison his body, but never his spirit. Bhagat Singh, Rajguru, and Sukhdev were sentenced to death. He was only 23. On the night before his execution, he calmly finished reading a book before walking to the gallows. The three friends marched forward singing patriotic songs and shouting, "Inquilab Zindabad." On March 23, 1931, they were executed. Bhagat Singh never saw a free India, but his sacrifice inspired millions. Even today, his name stands for courage, sacrifice, and the dream of freedom. If this story inspired you, like this video, subscribe to Everything Interesting, and tell us, which freedom fighter should we cover next?